Hello and welcome to Autism Awareness to celebrate Silly Sock Day and World Autism Awareness Day. It's just going to be a quick overview, a 10-minute presentation to give you an idea of what autism is. Autism is a lifelong condition that you are born with. It can be accompanied with a learning disability. It can affect boys and girls, and autism affects the way that people learn and understand the world around them. Asperger's syndrome is also autism and describes someone with average or high intelligence.
The main core features or the traits of autism include having difficulty interacting and communicating with other people. An autistic person's brain has developed slightly different to someone who doesn't have autism. So we need to support the person with autism and maybe provide them with simple strategies to help them interact and communicate with other people. Somebody with autism may also struggle with understanding the consequences of their words and actions. So they may accidentally say something to you, which may hurt your feelings, but they may not quite understand this. Autistic people like routine and they like to know what's happening next. When there's some unexpected changes to that routine, this can cause confusion, anxiety, and sometimes can be quite scary to the autistic person. This can sometimes have a knock-on effect on their behaviour. But always remember, any form of behaviour which may seem different or inappropriate is a form of communication.
Autistic people may need longer to process information that they are receiving. It might take them a little bit longer to transition from one activity to another or from one environment to another. We usually say that it's good to give someone with autism 6 seconds to process the information given to them when asking them a question. People with autism have told us that they may find it difficult to live in our world. They might not understand unwritten social rules of relationships, so the different ways that we act and greet different people. For example, someone with autism may not understand that we hug family members, but if we see the postman, we just wave at them and we don't hug them.
Some people with autism can take things really literally, so like a saying or a joke. So if we take the saying, for example, pull your socks up, we usually say this when we want somebody to try a little bit harder. But somebody with autism might actually lean down and pull their socks up. When we talk about autism, we have to think about our sensory systems as well. We have 8 sensory systems altogether, which are on your screen at the moment. So everything that we smell or we see, we taste or we touch, we hear, is all part of our sensory systems. Also part of our sensory system is to do with our joints and our muscles in the way in which our body moves or perceives things. Somebody with autism could have challenges with their sensory systems, and this might hinder how they see or hear things or how they act in certain situations.
People with autism can have difficulties or differences in receiving information through the senses in the environment around them. They might be over or undersensitive in certain senses. This could cause to possible sensory overload, which can have a huge impact on someone's behaviour. If someone is getting too much sensory information, for example, certain noises are overwhelming for them, they might cover their ears and not be able to cope with those noises, or they might avoid that environment if possible. However, if they have too little sensory information, they might seek out certain noises, like playing loud music really loud or humming very loud to get that sensory feedback that they require.
As with all of us, people with autism will have some strength and things that they can do really, really well. However, there are some areas that are quite consistent for people with autism. So a lot of people with autism have a great memory and can remember things from quite far back. They may have a special interest which they use to support themselves with their education or maybe with a job when they're a lot older. They particularly really enjoy timekeeping and having a good timekeeping when they go places, and for other people to be good with their timekeeping. They can be quite honest as well, which is really good, especially when you've got somebody with autism as your friend. And they can say what they mean, so there's not that much confusion. A lot of people with autism will always say what they exactly mean. So what can we do to help somebody with autism? Well, there's a few things we can do in everyday life. We can make sure that we use the person's name when we're talking to them or we want to get their attention. We can speak clearly and remember to always say what you mean. They may like to use visuals to help to back up what you're saying. This will help them to process something, but only use visuals if it's what the person really wants. By visuals, we may mean things like a timetable or photos. You may want to give somebody space or allow somebody to have a quiet space or an area to go to when they're feeling a little bit overwhelmed. This will help to calm them down. And like Joe said earlier around sensory, it may be nice to offer somebody things like ear defenses or a sensory item if you think that they're getting a bit anxious.
I hope you've enjoyed this overview of autism today. Thank you so much for wearing your silly socks and raising money for Autism Anglia. The donations that you make will help us to continue to support autistic people in East Anglia. And lastly, just a little bit about Autism Anglia. We're a charity that aims to enhance the lives of autistic people. These are some of the services that we provide. We also provide training to education services, and if this is something that you'd be interested in, please visit our website, which is on the screen now. Thank you so much for your time.